Hi, the next medicine we'll be looking at is Tarantula hispanica. It's made from the spider tarantula. It belongs to the class Arachnida and to the family Lycosidae, which forms all the wolf spiders belong to this family. Okay. Now, there's big debate in homeopathy as to the actual source of Tarantula hispanica. Now, according to Vermeulen, the source of the medicine is uncertain and it is most probably sourced from Lactodectris tridecimgutatus. Okay, so although we call it as Tarantula hispanica, we are not 100% sure because there's no species as Tarantula hispanica. Okay, and that's wherein this whole debate as to the source comes up. However, although we do not know the exact source of the remedy, it's a very important medicine and it's used quite extensively in homeopathy. So let's go and see what else we know about tarantula. Now, Tarantula hispanica or the wolf spiders, no known uses or research due to low toxicity of the Lycosidae spider venom. Okay, so what about the pharmacology? Now, the bite of Lectodectris results in great restlessness. They are impelled to move and to walk and are convulsed. So this is the toxicology report. So that means what causes can also cure. So we are going to see a lot of hyperactivity and restlessness and excitability of the nerves in this medicine. Now, wolf spider bites, on the other hand, result in hardly more than a minor local reaction, such as itching, swelling, redness, and on rare occasions, soreness and fever for a couple of days. And Vermeulen goes on to say that the reason for linking wolf spiders with dancing manias is obscure. Because if you read the homeopathic literature, they talk about Tarantula hispanica being the medicine or being the cause of dancing mania. That means people keep dancing and after being bitten by it, they dance, and it's usually periodic, once a year, where they get into this high intensity dance till they faint. And by the time they have finished this intense physical exertion, their poison has either got out of their system or they die because of the poison and because of intense activity. Okay, so the chemical composition again is debatable. What about the human pathogenetic trials? It was done this was introduced into the homeopathic materia medica, and the first HPT was done by Nunez on 7 females and 9 males in 1846. And he used the low X scale potencies from 3 to 12X potency. Now, the Central Council for Research in Homeopathy has been doing a lot of research. And one of the pathogenetic trials that they've done is using Tarantula hispanica. And they've done it on 6 females and 22 females. And they've used the 6C, 30C and 200C. There are also huge number of clinical observations which have contributed to the materia medica. Prominent among those are Boger, Kent, Tyler and Mangielabori. Now, what is the theme of Tarantula hispanica? Now, Vitulcus describes the nervous system of a tarantula patient as being very tight, like a coiled spring, wound up tight like a coiled spring, and tense with boundless energy, which must be expended to prevent it from breaking. So this is a person who's living on the edge, so who's hyperactive, who's restless. They must be kept busy. They're compulsive workers. and there is this internal restlessness about them. They will come across as being very hurried and impatient, and can't stand, even when somebody is doing something normal at a normal pace, they can't stand it. They must all hurry, and that irritates them. Yeah, so there's this intenseness about this. There's this nervous, boundless nervous energy about these people. Yeah, these are the people who come across as having superhuman stamina. And even in their sleep, they could be restless sleepers. And they are usually ameliorated by rhythmic activities like dancing, like music. Yeah, but at the same time, they can also show an aversion to being touched, aversion to bright, strong colors. And there's an anxiety about them that things are not moving fast enough. They have an anxiety that things will not get done. Anxiety that something will go wrong. Yeah, there's this hysterical, destructive, if restrained, or no outlet for their nervous tension. So if they're not allowed to indulge in that restlessness by some kind of an activity, it just goes into destructiveness. It can end in them actually flipping. They can break things, they can tear clothes, they can injure themselves, self-injury. Those are so these are the kind of conditions that you could consider tarantula for a person with behavioral problem who tends to self destruct or self-injure themselves, children who break things when they get angry and they can't, exhibit it, or they tear clothes. So there is this. This can also go into such extremes where they may have a desire to kill. Yeah, and as with stramonium that we saw earlier, with all this high intensity, they can also have delusions of monsters, delusions of insects, of ghosts. Yeah? Okay. So now let's go on to the symptoms of tarantula. We have seen that they've ameliorated by vigorous movement, rhythmical movement, dancing, rhythmical, or music. They're aggravated from touch. They're ameliorated usually from gentle rubbing. They're aggravated from bright colors. And because of that high intensity and things like that, you're also going to see it in, conditions like convulsions, chorias, twitchings, jerks, tics, all that. Yeah, and they could also come with a periodicity in the symptoms. Okay. So in the sexual sphere, again, you're going to see an increase in the sexual desire. There could be promiscuity. Yeah, and this is a remedy which you can also consider for, dysmenorrhea, or very sensitive ovaries. It's also considered in conditions like fibroids, and where there is fibroids or cancer or tumors, where there is usually an aggravation from menses, and there's usually a deep pain or itching in the vagina. Okay, and they may also have a burning sensation with all these pains. Okay, now coming on to musculoskeletal kind of problems with tarantula, you can see it in, they have a very sensitive spine. You could use it for tumors around the spinal column. Yeah, and they're going to be patients who come to you for maybe very fidgety, with restless legs and feet in bed, with numbness and weakness of the fingers, of the legs, very sensitive fingertips. Yeah. So these are the kind of conditions, behavioral problems and conditions that you're going to be looking at in tarantula. Another good sphere of action of tarantula, before I finish this session, this part or the study on tarantula, is it's used very effectively in, skin, like boils, abscesses, where the abscesses are quite deep in carbuncles, and there's a lot of ecchymosis, and they have a feeling that, like formication or insects are crawling. Yeah, so it's very good for these. And again, some of the remedies that you would need to differentiate tarantula with would be belladonna, stramonium, hyos, zinc. Zinc is one of the remedies that we'll be studying in this session. So that's also another remedy that you're going to be differentiating with tarantula.